So the most common fears are fear of not being good enough, fear of getting hit or getting hurt, fear of losing or underperforming, and fear of people watching, judging, or being upset at a bad performance. If any of these sound like something that you feel about sparring, then this video is meant for you. So hey everybody, my name is Samery. I'm a 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I'm also a 6-time US Collegiate National Champion, which means that I got to spend 6 years traveling the world as part of Team USA competing in sparring. One of the biggest questions I always get when it comes to sparring is how to get over the fear of it. So I decided to make this video to kind of show you different ways and techniques that I used to get over my fear of sparring. So if you are afraid when it comes to sparring, don't worry, you are not alone. We're gonna go ahead and break it down right now. So the first step in learning how to manage your fear is identifying the fear. So as I talked about, some of the most common fears that people have when it comes to sparring is number 1, the fear of not being good enough. And I felt this one so much. You know, a lot of times we can feel like I'm just not gonna be good enough. Everybody seems to be better than me, everybody else has it down. This is something that I felt so much. I grew up, I had been doing this sport for such a long time, and then going out into something, there was kind of like an expectation that I felt that I should be good, and I was worried about not being good enough. What if I'm never good enough? What if I have done all these training sessions and I'm just not good enough to win? A couple of other ones are a fear of getting hit or getting hurt. And you know what? You are in sparring. You're in a ring where the point is to hit the other person and the other person wants to hit you back. So yes, of course it's gonna hurt. This is, you know, like a rational fear that you might be feeling. Another fear is a fear of performing badly because, you know, it's gonna suck if you lose. And then lastly, a lot of people fear other people watching them because, you know, at a competition or at a tournament or a testing or even in class, there's other people that are gonna be watching you, and some people might feel that and just feel pressured and feel afraid and nervous. So these are all different reasons, and what I want you to do is figure out what you're most worried or most afraid about. If you don't really know, then what you might wanna try is journaling it, writing it down, maybe talking to somebody, or just start talking yourself through some of these that I mentioned and see if any of these make you feel a little bit more nervous. Step number 2 is rationalize, which means talk yourself through it. So let's go ahead and break down that fear and find out why it is causing you to feel that fearful emotion. So if you have a fear of getting hit or getting hurt, for example, I mean, like I said, you're gonna be in a ring, other people are gonna be trying to hit you, and yes, it might hurt, but what you also have to think about is you are preparing for this tournament or competition or this sparring session, whatever it may be. There are drills that you can do to prepare for it. So maybe talk to your instructor and tell them, you know, I just don't feel comfortable about what to do when somebody is doing a roundhouse kick with their back leg towards me, and I'm just gonna freeze and it's gonna hurt because they're hitting me. So maybe you can talk to them about different options about what you can do to defend yourself from that. You know, you can slide out of the way, you can cover, you can move to the side, you can be the one who attacks first. So kind of start rationalizing and figuring out different options. A lot of the times, many of the fears that we feel are kind of irrational, but you also want to break it down and rationalize why you're feeling them, and then the rest of the steps are gonna kind of help us through the irrational just feelings and emotions to control that fear. A good example to kind of break it down is if you have a fear of not being good enough. Maybe, I mean, have you been training? Have you just barely started sparring? Do you have these high expectations of yourself to go out and win a tournament, win gold medal, when you've just barely been doing this for a month? Are you afraid that you're just not gonna be good at it right away? So I really want you to stop, break it down, and think about it, because honestly, like, you might go out there and lose. You might go out there and the other person might be better than you. But realistically, that doesn't matter, because wherever you are in your journey, that is your starting point, and there is something that you can do. If you're not good enough right now, there's something that you can do to improve, whether that is extra training, whether that is talking to an instructor, whatever it may be, there is something that you can do to improve. So if you're not good enough right now, then figure out what you need to do to get to your goals, to accomplish whatever you want to do and make you feel like you are good enough. It really doesn't matter if you go out and you lose your first tournament or if you lost your 10th tournament. When I was 19, I decided that I wanted to make it on the US Collegiate National team, and up until that point, I'm pretty sure that I lost 99% of my matches growing up because I was so afraid and I had like all these issues about fear. So I went out to every single match and I would lose them, and I would watch my friends go out and win and get medals and be so happy, and I would come back after losing a match and just cry because it sucked to lose. But you know, that was my starting point at 19 years old. I knew that I wasn't winning, and I knew that I would have to do work to get to where I wanted to be. So it really doesn't matter if right now you don't feel good enough. Kind of break down that fear so that you can kind of rationalize and see what you can do. One quote that's really stood out to me for a long time and just been a constant thought throughout all this is, energy is never lost, it's only transferred. And that negative energy, like that fear that you feel, it doesn't have to be negative. What you can do is channel it into something that, I don't know, feel excited. It's kind of good that you're, nervous about going out to a sparring match because it gets your adrenaline going. It's good that you feel something because you care. It's gonna get you moving. It's gonna get you to have another reaction in your body. So don't look at it necessarily as a bad thing. Just figure out how you can take that bad energy, if it's, like a lot of fear and stress that you're feeling, figure out what we can do to turn it into a positive energy. And that's what we're gonna focus on in the next step. Step number 3, get rid of the negative self-talk. Now, if you actually want to get rid of your fear and turn it into something positive, this is on you. You are the one who has to make that change if you actually want to get rid of that fear and be able to control it and manage it. So step number 3 is all about getting rid of any negative self-talk. Because a lot of the times, we might say like, yes, I really want to go out and do this, but inside in your head, you're telling yourself, no, I'm not actually good enough. No, like I can't actually do this. Even if you don't completely believe it, I want you to just banish all negative self-talk. If you start getting those thoughts, stop them right away. So the second you start doubting yourself, stop it. Like, I don't care what you have to think about or if you don't want to think about anything in that moment, but get rid of as much negative self-talk as you can. That is going to be the first step if you actually want to get rid of this fear. Step number 4, define the attitude that you do want to have. So I actually talked about this to a sports psychologist during my competitive career. And one thing that she told me that was really good advice was to think about somebody that I wanted to act like when they were going into a ring. So I started thinking back through a whole bunch of different athletes. If you need to, go to a tournament and literally watch one of your favorite athletes and see what they do before they get in the ring. Do they look confident? Do they warm up? When they're in the ring, do they start moving around, getting a feel for it? What do they do that kind of shows you that confidence? And I want you to kind of start thinking about it so that you can almost mimic them. Because what you need to do is find a role model or something that you can physically, something that you can visualize and think about that you can try to be like. So whether that's finding a role model, whether that's listening to music, something that pumps you up and makes you feel good, makes you feel confident, whether that's reading a book and just getting that mindset of someone who's confident, someone who you want to act like. So we got rid of the negative self-talk in step number 3. Now in step number 4 is all about filling yourself with what you want to be like and act like, who you want to be. So you're gonna have to do a lot of visualization of this. Start really think about who or what you want to act like and think about what that feels like. And that's gonna lead us straight into the next step. Step number 5. So for step number 5, this is all about practicing and putting this into your training. I don't want you to wait until a tournament or wait until a competition to try this out and see if it works. What you have to do is practice it in every single training session that you have. So if you have sparring class one day, I want you to take the night before or the day or sometime before that class and really visualize what you want to feel like. So go through the steps, close your eyes and just think about, okay, I'm gonna be in that sparring class, I'm gonna have to walk up, I'm gonna put my gear on, I'm gonna have to walk up to my opponent, and I'm gonna have to feel this way. This is the way that I want to feel, and you're just gonna walk yourself through everything, whether that be the class or the tournament, anything. Really visualize to every detail what sounds are there, if your instructor's there, who is gonna be there, what your gear is gonna feel like, how sweaty you're gonna be, how tired you're gonna feel. Really visualize as much as you can, and I want you to practice this in every training session, because just like you train your body in a training session, you really have to train your mind if you want to be able to control and manage that fear. So that is the process that I used to kind of learn how to control my fear and turn it into something positive. It was number 1, identify the fear. Number 2, rationalize and talk yourself through it. Number 3, get rid of the negative self-talk. Number 4, replace that negative self-talk with something positive that you do want to be like. And number 5, make sure that you practice it in your training. Like I said, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because it's something that I really struggle with so much that you might have seen me wear these. I have fearless shirts as part of my merch because, and here's the thing, they don't actually say fearless. If you notice, I put myself right in between. It's a little logo, it's a little image of me kicking, because what I wanted to do was just fear less. So not always let my fear control me, but if I found a fear, that if I found something that I was afraid of, I wanted to lessen that or get rid of one more fear and turn it into something that I'm not afraid of. So that is the reason that I have my fearless shirts. If you've been wondering why I wear those all the time in most of my videos, I'm pretty sure that they're linked on like a merch shelf right under my video. Otherwise, just look it up on the link in my description. And I really hope that these 5 steps helped one of you. If this was at all helpful to you, please let me know in the comments below, or if you have another tip as to how you manage your fear that I didn't mention in the video, please put them in the comments below, because I know a whole bunch of you guys read the comments and I really want to be able to create this place where you guys can talk and help each other as well. If you liked my video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any videos. On this channel, I do a lot of Taekwondo tutorials, tips, training drills, all kinds of things about Taekwondo to help you reach your goals. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss any of my videos. I post every Tuesday and Thursday. So I will see you guys all in next week's video. Thank you and have an awesome week training.